Ben, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you for joining us this week as we talk about Youth Development Week and the Academy. Just wanted to have an opportunity really to sit down with you and talk about your role and about the Academy in general. So maybe we could kick that off with a very open question. You know, what's your title, what's your role, and where can we find you on a normal daily basis?
I'm Academy Manager at Milton Keynes Dons. You can find me everywhere, I think. And my role is really just to facilitate and let the staff do what they're really, really good at. I do a lot of the stuff behind the scenes in terms of meetings and budgets and planning and preparing and facilitating like the work that everyone does. It's like letting the skilled people do what they do and help them do the best they can.
So it sounds like you've got more of a kind of general role that oversees lots of other people's work, and some of those might be in very specific areas that in which they work, and we'll come to what they do in a second. But in terms of your role, does that mean you're ever out on the grass coaching yourself, or are we more likely to see you behind a desk fighting fires, basically?
I don't get out on the grass as much as what I have done previously in other roles. My most recent times with the under-12s a couple of weeks ago, which I really enjoyed. I get to watch a lot of games. I think I covered over 200 games last year across loans, under-18s, 16s, all the schoolboy games that we have as well. So I really enjoy that part of the job. The other part of the job is also not necessarily managing the staff within the academy. It's having strong relationships with other people at the football club, whether that be through finance, HR, the inquiries team at the hotel, the sporting director, football operations manager, CEO. So all these people I'm interacting with on a daily basis really, and then facilitating that down or making sure that all the staff within the academy are aware of what's going on across the club.
Okay, so it sounds like I think one thing that people often don't realise is how integrated the academy is within the whole nature of the football club then. So people might only see that the academy is there to produce players for the team, and that's obviously part of what you do, but it sounds like there's a lot more work that goes into looking after those boys from a young age all the way through. So how important is the holistic development of those young people rather than just as footballers?
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's young people, and we talk about young people rather than players. As they graduate through the academy and we get to under-18s, under-19s, then we can start using that term players a little bit more in terms of what they are and what they're doing in terms of an identity. But certainly with the younger age groups, we try and use the phrase young people because we're in a really fortunate position to give them an education program. We have a competency framework and we have our principles, and that kind of is the real foundation of the academy life that people have with us, and that's for the families as well. It's not just bespoke to the young people, it's for the families too. And we're really proud of that, and we're kind of happy being a little bit different. And I think when you speak to other staff over the course of the week, you'll start seeing that it's not just about the 1 or 2% that might get into the first team or get on the pitch. That's how we grade success. Then we're 98% failure, and we're very big on finding and celebrating success in lots of other ways, and that could be going into higher education after football. It could be going out to America. It could be going into employment. We've got several ex-scholars that are now back in the football club as coaches or working in other departments. Some of our current boys in the 15s, the 16s and the 17s are qualified referees, and they come back and they officiate on the Sundays for our schoolboy games. So there's a really nice balance of wanting to try and become a professional footballer, which we're all about, but we believe that if we layer the competency framework and we layer the principles into their program whilst they're with us that can be transitioned and transferable back to school, back to home, then we've got a better chance of hopefully getting them over the line from the football perspective.
Okay, that's cool. So there's two things that come to mind then. It sounds like the academy is, and what you do in terms of working with the kids themselves, is way more part of their whole life development. How do you make sure that the academy and the things that you're working with the kids on fits in with their normal education? You know, these are kids that are going through school. How does that integrate with their home life and their education?
Yeah, so the principles that we have are be humble, be on time and be prepared. And they are transferable, you know, forever really, for whether you're an adult or whether you're a young person. So we talk about, you know, the be humble bit, you know, that is gracious in victory, learning from defeat, but also how do you behave at home? How are you behaving around your friends? If you're in the older age groups and you're becoming the identity of being a player at MK Dons, how do you treat your friends whilst you've got that badge, if you like, that you're walking around with? The being on time, it's being on time with your homework, being on time getting up in the morning. You know, we ask the parents not to get their children up in the morning, or don't keep going into the bedroom and you know, you've got an alarm, you set the alarm, you get up. Getting to bed at the right time, not being distracted, and being prepared is not just being prepared for football, it's being prepared for school, it's being prepared for, you know, your homework, it's being prepared for your exams. So we hope that through those principles that we're able to share with the families, that families are able to use the same language, and that the lads are kind of on the right path. Because when they do come in with us full time in the scholarship program or into the development group, they're huge. And if you can display those, then your accelerated pathway with us is a lot clearer.
And I guess those principles that you're teaching those boys, then they apply regardless of who's the manager of the first team. So, you know, that's kind of one thing I think you probably, you know, how does that work for you? How do you make sure that what you're teaching the lads all the way from under 9s, all the way up to, you know, under 16s, under 18s, now the development squad, how are you making sure that fits in line with what the manager wants ultimately from players that reach him in the first team?
Yeah, I think some of the fundamentals of being elite in anything, you know, and we do a lot of work with elite sports and elite organisations in Milton Keynes, and we do a lot of good sharing of good practice, and we can second staff and we can learn from others, and others will learn from us. That when you get to that high performance area, if you can know the difference between motivation and discipline. You know, discipline is the grind, it's the day-to-day stuff, it's the sacrifice, and it's understanding the why. And if we can get them ready for that level, then I think whatever manager you have, whether it be in the workplace or whether it be in the football workplace, they appreciate that, because we need quick learners as well. We need people that can take on information and can execute that information quickly, whether it be on the training pitch, whether it be on a match day, whether it be in the gym, whether it be in analysis sessions, and you know, they're watching a game back or they're watching the preview of the opposition. It's being able to take that information on and think, right, yeah, I know what I can do with that, and then you go and put it into practice. And
then those, like you say, those are obviously skills that they use throughout their life, wherever they go, not just in football. It sounds like the academy of today, if we will, is a huge business. There's a lot of moving parts. So you must it must be quite a big team that you work with. How do you manage such a big team? How many roles are there within that you have to oversee and be aware of?
Yeah, I think, you know, being Category 3, we still have to fulfil a lot of the expectations of a Category 1 and a Category 2 in terms of the rules and the PJAC audit that we go through, and we went through a PJAC audit in April this year, and the result was, you know, pretty phenomenal really, considering, you know, the results that we got, the feedback that we got, which is a real testament to the staff that we have, and you know the staff that we have here, and I suppose it's different between really fortunate or it's been done by design that we've got some really good people here, and the ambition that we all have to move the academy, you know, onto the next level is huge. And I think that kind of goes back to your question of what does it all look like? And there's a huge amount of people that work within the academy that don't always get seen. I suppose the coaches get seen because they're on the grass. The medical team, the majority of them get seen. The analysis team don't always get seen because they're behind laptops and cameras. But we get to see their work, I suppose, through presentations. Our head of player care is seen. You know, he's not a head of player care who just sits behind a desk and he immerses himself with what we do. Head of education is always, although Danuta's on maternity leave, so she's now a mum, and we're delighted with that. But John stepped in while she's on maternity, so we're in contact with all the schools to see how the young people are doing in school. Administration just doesn't get seen. Claire is an email, but her work is just consistent. I mean, it's so consistent with what Claire does. But then it all starts with our recruitment team. And it's our recruitment team that go out every weekend, midweek, watch games across all age groups, across all different levels. And they are the first point of contact with our football club more often than not. And all these things no one sees. We kind of see the end product. We see, players might make their debuts, or we have some nice reports that come through from across the age groups. But there are so many good people within the academy that really are ready to take us to the next level. And that goes back to Stephen and his coaching program. We're very fortunate that Steve set up a volunteer program for local coaches who are on the start of their journey, and they come in and they volunteer with us to learn how we do it. And we do it different, and we're happy to do it a little bit different. But what that gives us is when we're able to accelerate a coach into a full-time position or accelerate a coach into another role, these volunteers, they know the club, they know the players, they know the families know them, and we're able to seamlessly move them into a coaching role within the club, and then the next one comes through and we kind of support them and we help them. So yeah, all these things are happening every day. And so when I suppose you ask, what do? You facilitate that really, and you let the people do what they're really good at. Yeah,
but there's so many things there, and it's like that whole thing about the coaching program. It's that sounds almost like you're developing kids to play football, but you're also developing coaches to become coaches, and it's like so that's two things at the same time. So the whole thing is kind of doubled in terms of the
well, then I suppose if we're going to talk about the volunteer coach program, we'll talk about the volunteer analysis program and what Matty generates, and we have some amazing analysts. They do some things that I don't know how they do it. Then we have our student program in the sports science and medicine department. So we are continually, learning ourselves, onboarding, the next set of people that are going to work in the football club. And then we want to accelerate the ones that are already here and keep them and keep their ambitions going, because we have to be ambitious.
Yeah, and I guess thinking about ambition and thinking about what you're trying to achieve probably brings me to what might be my last question, and it's thinking about how do you define success? What would you class as and this is probably a very difficult question, but what's a good year or a good 5 year for the academy for you and your team?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So yes, we do want to get young people from the Milton Keynes area into the first team and have a sustainable career, 100%. We also celebrate the success of staff who move across the football club. Fran, as an example, someone who came in as working with the 13s to 16s, is now working with a development group. He's working with Dean. Dean has transitioned from player to coach incredibly well. He's got some great learning experiences to do with Fran. Gary Mills has come back as under 18s lead, having been with the club at 13s to 16s. He went to Coventry. He then worked in the first team environment, but he's come back. And so we like to celebrate those as well. We've got young people that have gone out to America on scholarships, full ride scholarships, which is an incredible opportunity. We've got scholars who are out playing professional football at other clubs. We celebrate that as well. So success can be demonstrated in so many different ways, and I think that's important to us, and it's important that we get families and young people to understand that success isn't just on the pitch. This academy will give so much in terms of the skills, the personal development that you need as a young person growing into being an adult, that you can have success in lots of different ways.
That's great to hear. I think it's like you say, it's really good to understand that success isn't just, this player played for the first team. There's a whole different number of ways to measure it and different ways to show it. So it's great. Really appreciate that, Ben. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Andy.